Hey everyone, my name is Blake Cadwell. I'm the co-founder at Soundly.com, and today I'm going to be talking about some pretty big news out of the company Eargo. They've gone from one product to a range of three products. We're going to talk about each of these three products, which I have here. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons, what you might think about them, and how to compare them to the rest of the options available on the market. Let's get into it. All right, so we are here to talk about the Eargo 7, which is Eargo's flagship, the Eargo SE, which is now their budget line, but similar to their flagship, and then the Eargo Link, which is their Bluetooth streaming earbud style device. We're going to talk about each one of them, what you should know, how you should compare them, and then how you can think about them according to the rest of the market. But before we do that, let's just talk about some background on Eargo itself. This is a company that's been around for more than 10 years, and they made a name for themselves by releasing tiny, invisible, rechargeable devices. In fact, they still make the smallest rechargeable device on the market, and that's the Eargo 7. The Eargo SE is right there. It's about the same size. So they've really cracked the code on tiny devices that also carry a recharge. And a lot of people really like this proposition. Instead of selling their products through local audiology clinics, which most hearing aid manufacturers do, Eargo sells directly to the consumer or through large retailers like Target. That means that Eargo sits squarely in the over-the-counter category of hearing aids. You will not have an audiologist that programs your devices to match your hearing loss. Instead, you're going to use a smartphone app that will program your Eargo 7 and Eargo SE hearing aids based on Eargo's hearing assessment. We'll walk through that process in a little bit more detail in a moment, but let's just dig into each of these products. We'll start with the flagship. This is the Eargo 7. This is a tiny device that sits in the ear canal. One of the things I love about Eargo's devices is that they have these little pedal tips on them. They kind of float inside your ear canal and really prevent that feeling of occlusion, which is really common with in-ear devices. Occlusion is basically when you feel the boominess of your own voice or you're hearing yourself talk. Eargo's really mastered that feeling by changing up the design of this tip and then the overall kind of size of their devices. So it allows sound to go in and out kind of naturally while you're also getting that amplified sound. One of the other things I love about Eargo's Eargo 7, beyond the fact that it's self-fit and it uses a really nice app, is that it does automatic scene switching. So similar to some of the premium devices on the market, when you walk into a room, something changes, you have more background noise, Eargo 7 is going to shift automatically into different programs to optimize for speech clarity according to your particular hearing loss. Now, some of the other specifics with Eargo 7 is that it has a 16-hour battery life for each charge, and you get 2 additional charges inside this case without having to plug it into the wall. It has an IPX7 rating, which means you can submerge your Eargo 7s underwater for about 30 minutes and they'll be unimpacted. That's great for anyone who thinks they might forget and jump in the shower with their hearing aids on, or maybe they'll drop them into something wet. It gives you that extra sense of protection. Eargo 7 is also the smallest product on the Eargo range. Now, all of this comes at a cost. Eargo 7 retails typically from $2,500 to $2,900 depending on the sales that are running at that time. So it's a premium price point. And that brings us to Eargo SE, which is the new budget option from Eargo. Instead of paying $2,500 to $2,900, you're going to pay $1,600 for these devices. You're going to get most of the same features that you have within Eargo 7. Now, the design itself actually comes in a smaller case. This case somehow carries more charges, so still 16 hours on a single charge, and then you have 5 additional recharges inside of this case without plugging it back into the wall. So that's a great value and a nice jump in overall performance. The devices themselves are very similar in size. They have a lightweight trumpet tip, which sits inside the ear canal comfortably and prevents occlusion. They're a little bit less waterproof, where the Eargo 7 is an IPX7, Eargo SE is just an IP54, which means it's still splash resistant. It's not going to have an issue if it just gets a little bit of water on it, but you wouldn't want to submerge these devices. It won't be quite as safe as the Eargo 7s. These devices are just a little bit bigger than Eargo 7, and I found them just a little bit less comfortable in my ear, but really we're talking about margins here. These products mostly feel the same and look the same, and most people are not really going to notice a difference. And there are 2 really important differences between Eargo 7 and Eargo SE. The first is that the Eargo 7 has a 2-year warranty, whereas Eargo SE has just a 1-year warranty. Maybe not a big deal for some folks, but for those who are thinking about longevity and want to invest in a longer period of time, Eargo 7 might be worth the additional cost for that extra bit of warranty. The other major difference is that Eargo 7 will automatically scene switch when you are in a dynamic background noise environment. So you don't need to touch your app or touch your devices. Eargo SE, on the other hand, does not auto switch. So you'll need to change the mode if you want a different type of sound quality. Now you can do that through the smartphone app, or you can do that by double tapping your ear like that. You'll need to do it on both sides. And then it will announce the setting that you're in. So you can set up a few different programs and it will give you an announcement that you are now in that program in each ear. So a little bit of an extra step on the SE front, but for those who are looking for a budget option, this might be worth the trade-off. Let's dig into the process just a little bit more for Eargo 7 and Eargo SE. Eargo Link's a little bit different, so we're going to save that for last. Now, Eargo 7 and SE both are programmed using the Eargo app. So you'll unbox your product. You might charge it up a little bit if it needs some more charge. You'll download the Eargo app, and then you'll pair your product with the Eargo app.
Once you're inside the app, you're going to be prompted to take the Eargo assessment.
It'll go through both sides and give you a series of beeps. You'll indicate whether you've heard the sound or not. And ultimately, your indications or your responses will get sent back into the Eargo app, and that will be used to program your hearing aids. Now, we've done some tests on the Eargo 7 to see how accurate the programming process really is, and we've been very impressed. We put it in a test box. We ran simulations to see exactly what that amplification was compared to the hearing loss targets that we were going after. And the self-fitting process seems to be really remarkable. Eargo's research also backs this up. They've been able to achieve similar outcomes to what you would get in clinic through their in-app process. So that's available for Eargo 7 and also Eargo SE. At this time, Eargo Link will not use a smartphone app. Instead, you're going to use a handful of presets, which we'll talk about more in just a second. Now, we've talked about some of the basics, the differences in functionality between these two products, but you might be wondering, what is the sound quality difference between Eargo SE and Eargo 7? Basically, is it worth the price differential? And this has been my experience so far. I've spent time wearing both. And the biggest things that I've noticed are, of course, that Eargo 7 does the auto switching, whereas SE does not. But I've also just noticed a general smoother and rounder feel to the sound coming through Eargo 7. Now, the clarity coming through SE is fantastic. I'm hearing voices really well. I'm able to get the information that I need out of the environment. But occasionally I'll notice that the sound of a door closing or the sound of a glass being set down is a little bit sharper than what I'm experiencing with Eargo 7. And I think this just comes down to the quality of components and kind of the overall feature set that's available within their most premium product and this slightly more budget option. So if it were me, would I go with Eargo SE or Eargo 7? I think if I had the resources and it was not a stress, I probably would upgrade to 7. I think there were enough slight differences to feel like it's worth the jump. When you factor in the 2-year warranty, that's a nice value add. There's also just some premium touches to the case that I personally like. But for anyone who's looking to get the Eargo sound and overall quality and a rechargeable device that's tiny and pretty much invisible in your ear, but you don't want to spend over $2,000, I do think SE is a really solid option. Now you might be wondering, why am I not talking about the other new product in the Eargo lineup, which is the Eargo Link? These are the earbud style devices. They look kind of like AirPods. We've got the Eargo logo on them. It's a Bluetooth streaming capable device. You can listen to music, take phone calls. Basically, it's going to act like an earbud, but it also has the ability to amplify outside sounds. Now, the reason I haven't compared this to SE and 7 is that I think of this really as a product in a class of its own. If you're looking for an invisible, lightweight product that you're going to wear all day long, I would strongly encourage you to consider the SE or the 7. If you're looking for something that's more situational, that you might pop in once in a while, maybe in front of the TV or in a tougher listening situation, Eargo Link could be a good option. Now, I don't find that this device is quite as comfortable in my ears after a couple of hours. I also don't find that the sound quality is quite as premium as what's available in SE and 7.
It's also worth noting that this device does not come with app customization. So you're going to choose from a few presets instead of taking an assessment to match your unique hearing needs.
Now, of course, this product is also only $7.99 for a pair. So if you're looking for a great pair of earbuds that can connect with Android or with iPhone and can give you amplified sound from the outside world. If you trust Eargo's kind of take on sound quality, which I tend to because I've done a lot of tests through their products, then this could be a good option for you. It's just not the same type of decision as what you're looking at between Eargo 7 and Eargo SE. So what are my overall thoughts? How do I feel about this new line of Eargo products? I think overall, I'm really happy about it. I've been impressed with the progression of Eargo's products over the last handful of years. I got to try the 5, 6, and now 7, and I've seen big jumps in all of the products across their sound quality, their finish, the way they perform, and also within their app. I think the company's making some really meaningful improvements over time. And this new SE product brings most of those improvements into a more budget-friendly option. I really like that. I think adding Link to the lineup is a smart move for them. It gives people more options. It potentially gives folks an opportunity at a starter hearing aid for less than $1,000. And at least one that can also stream through your phone and through Bluetooth. All right, that's a wrap. We hope this gives you some perspective on the newly updated Eargo lineup, and we wish you the best in your research.